Discuss James Joyce's Evelyn according to forms and devices of stream of consciousness writing. What devices are used to help the reader identify a change of different level of consciousness in Evelyn? What device is used to show that Evelyn's thoughts and memories are switched to the past? And now about stream. The term stream, which initially had a psychological meaning, in modernist fiction implies incessant flow of characters' thoughts, sensations, and impressions. But what makes the literary meaning of this term different from that of William James is that it implies checks and interferences, which enable the flow to pass freely from one level of psyche to another. The chief technique in controlling the movement of stream has been an application of the principles of psychological free association. And now, what gives the reader the sense of mental stream, mental flow? Disregarding formal syntax rules, fragmentary sentence structure, incoherence, violation of cohesive rules, illogical thought progression, lack of standard capitalization and paragraph indentation, or complete absence of punctuation. And now about cultural and historical context of the story. It is generally accepted idea in literary studies that Joyce used Dublin as the artistic canvas for all his major writings. In each street name, political reference, or mention of different regions of Ireland holds a particular significance to what he is communicating. And about Ireland. In 1914, when Evelyn is written, Ireland won the Home Rule Act of 1914. The Home Rule Act of 1914, also known as the Irish Third Home Rule Bill, and formerly known as the Government of Ireland Act of 1914, was a British Act of Parliament intended to provide self-government, home rule for Ireland within the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. Home rule was suspended on the outbreak of the First World War. In 1922, after the Irish War of Independence and the Anglo-Irish Treaty, the larger part of Ireland seceded from the United Kingdom to become the independent Irish Free State, and after 1948, the Republic of Ireland. And Dublin is the largest city and capital of Ireland, with majority of Catholic population. Joyce's most celebrated work, Ulysses, is set in Dublin and full of topical detail. Dubliners is a collection of short stories by Joyce about incidents and characters typical of residents of the city in the early part of the 20th century. Evelyn is one of them. The time when the story was written, Dublin suffers from bad social conditions and spiritually waste society. According to critics, Evelyn is largely affected by the feminist issues of the time period. They argue that feminist ideas are illustrated through Evelyn's relationships with her family and boyfriend, as well as the public expectations and her duties and obligations. Some critics argue that there would be that there would only be a replacement of the father with the husband, but mastery would hardly change. Her refusal to leave is prompted by feminine desire. Feminist theory aims to understand the nature of gender inequality, promote justice for women, and seeks defense of women's rights and interests. And about suffrage. So during the late 19th and the early 20th century, the time when Evelyn was written, this term took its origin from suffragist movement in Europe and the United States. Suffragette derives from the word suffrage, meaning the right to vote. And now about narrative modes in Evelyn. Why does Joyce choose to tell this story from a third-person perspective? Does he manage to inform the reader about Evelyn's thoughts, impressions through third-person narration? So what does the dialogue emphasize in the story? What does it inform the reader about Evelyn's desire to leave home? And about flashback. So flashback is frequently used device in films for foreshadowing and stronger dramatic effect. In literature, this device usually takes a narrative back in time from the current point the story has reached. When an earlier episode or event is inserted into the sequence of events, so in the story, we deal with flashback. So flashbacks are often used to recount events that happened prior to the story's primary sequence of events. In fact, a reader can jump forward and backward. Now, decide what the flashback tells the readers about Evelyn's desire to leave home. So what does the writer inform the reader through the flashback about Evelyn's family or about Frank? So what is the purpose of flashback in films, and what is its purpose in literature? And now about setting in Evelyn. Where does the story take place? Does the author give hints about it? Ulysses by James Joyce, a novel of nearly 600 pages, takes place on one day, namely 18 hours, and in one city, Dublin. The whole novel is told from the point of view of three characters. In stream of consciousness writing, past intermittently exists with the present. Let us consider the extract from the most famous and most extended psychonarration, as Robert Humphrey names it, direct interior monologue of a character, of Molly Bloom. In James Joyce's Ulysses, we mean the final chapter of Ulysses. The character's speech is not directed to another character. If we refer to the setting of this particular episode, we can find that there is nobody in the room, no auditor in the scene, except the characters, Molly Bloom's husband, who is asleep. So does the writer tell the time in Evelyn from its chronological sequence? Does he show the movement of Evelyn's consciousness into the future? How does he present Evelyn's memories, or maybe memories within memories? As it is known, inner time in stream of consciousness novels flows independently of the clock time. And does the inner time in Evelyn contrast with temporal time? What effect does it make? And plot in stream of consciousness writing. So Robert Humphrey states that a stream of consciousness literature mainly focuses on psychic existence and functioning. So it focuses on internal man. This results to reducing plot to minimum. However, the plot line may develop through the minds of the characters and through their impressions, reminiscences, and thoughts. How does the plot develop in Evelyn? Can we analyze the story according to Freytagian categories, according to Freytag's pyramid? What about climax? When does it occur in the story? And about character. So how is the title character portrayed? Joyce introduces the tendency of his characters to be frozen in a state of psychological and spiritual arrest. So when and under what circumstances is Evelyn paralyzed, immobile? What do the readers learn about Evelyn's father? Find the passages in the story which show that Evelyn's father hurt her feelings. Do the readers see Frank through omniscient description or through Evelyn's eyes? And critics repeatedly state that Evelyn is a highly symbolic story. Evelyn is often seen as a spirit of violence. At the end of the story, she is undecided and finally denies Frank. Does this have any symbolic meaning? Identify other symbols in the story. What, in your opinion, does think can symbolize? Finally, about Epiphany. When does the Epiphany occur in the story? Which character experiences Epiphany? Let me remind you that Epiphany is one of Joyce's stylistic trademarks. So why does he use this literary device in Evelyn? In literature, Epiphany means a sudden revelation, recognition of an important and underlying truth by a character. It can result in rebirth and renewal of a character. The term is taken from Greek epiphania, the manifestation by the gods of their divinities to mortal eyes. And it was first applied to literature by James Joyce, who called his early experimentations with short prose passages epiphanies.